Sasquatch and Military Installations, Part 5. 12 miles southwest of Fort Lewis Army Base, Pierce County, Washington. On June 16, 2001, about 8:30 p.m., while out with George Karras's group of Bigfoot enthusiasts, Fred Bradshaw, a retired Sheriff's Department officer, saw a white Sasquatch and brought it to the attention of others in the group. The visual he had was from mid-chest up to the head. He said, "You're right, the white ones stand out like a lighthouse. This animal was so white it didn't look real. Black face, about 8 feet tall from what I could see of him." Bradshaw continued, "When I told them about the white Sasquatch, the group grabbed their camcorders and ran at it. The creature ran down and off to the east. They thought they could catch up with it by the road, but it went back into the woods. The creature was about 50 feet away from the group. The area is off Highway 507 in what they call the Roy Washington area, Pierce County. There are at least 4 or more creatures in this area. George Karras has a map of the area on his website. Where it was standing, the brush was over my head. I am 5'11". The Sasquatch was so white it was unbelievable, but I saw it drop down, hide, and then it was gone. Couldn't see it anymore after it dropped down," he said. "We walked into where it had been and smelled an odor like wild animal or horse, not that foul smell I have smelled before. The ground was mashed flat, no sign of hair. It appeared there were 2 creatures, because just a little ways from that spot was another flattened area like something sitting, squatting, or laying down. No one got a photograph, but they were all dumbfounded at the sight of the thing. Another person was using a camera farther down the road, but he got nothing too. Everyone was just getting set up for evening like they do every Saturday night. I go down there during the week, but was asked to come along, so I did. I can't believe it. There were 10 other people there and nobody left. Rick Long was right next to me when I saw it. I pointed it out to him first, then told the others. By the time they saw white, it was gone, just that quick. You could hear brush snapping, then nothing, just silence. I know it's hard to believe, but 8 others saw it at the same time." Bradshaw continued with his story. "A fellow by the name of Brian Angle had a wood-cutting crew in there on the other side of Fort Lewis Army Base at Gate 308. About 3 miles down the road there's a crossing. They were to park in that spot to eat lunch. Suddenly something came in behind their truck and screamed bloody murder at them, forcing them out. They left in a hurry. Brian met the men coming out. They told him about the screamer and he let them go home. Funny thing is, one guy quit on the spot. He was so scared. The next day, before Angle's woodcutting crew came in to work, Brian Angle and his wife went into the area and found the previously stacked wood pile they had cut thrown all over the place. Those logs were 8 to 10 feet long each. The Angles were screamed at. They left the area. Totally unruffled, Angle stayed on to keep the crew from going in there to work that day, but Brian said the crew never showed up to work. He called them and they wanted to go somewhere else to cut wood, not there in that place. That is how I originally learned about that section of Fort Lewis." Fred Bradshaw. In a follow-up conversation with Bradshaw, he said, "The BFRO people got wind of it and they got into the act. God, what a bunch of screw-ups. About 20 of them showed up, and God Almighty, I thought this would be the end of Bigfooting this area. To my surprise, one very large Sasquatch showed up in front of them. Don Udell, Rob Johnson, Daryl Smith, one other guy, and scared them by walking out of the tree line and standing at the edge of the trees. Don tried to talk to it, and it made a high-pitched noise, at which time they all hauled ass. They kept coming back for about 6 months to check cameras and finally left the area." Fred Bradshaw. Joint Base Lewis McChord, Fort Lewis, Washington. Then on April 12, 2002, I recorded another email from Bradshaw, more events that took place in and around Joint Base Lewis McChord. "I have found info on the Sasquatch also showing up on north side of Fort Lewis U.S. Army Base, Tacoma, Washington. The area is used by the Rangers as a training area. It's called Cat Lake. For years, the Army Rangers have run into Sasquatch in this area, and now I have quietly been using this area for night maneuvers because of the Sasquatch. I talked to a retired ranger and was told there are Sasquatch in that area for sure. Bigfoot is also noted in the Ranger Handbook of Animals of the Northwest. Sasquatch is in the book used by Army personnel since the 1950s, maybe longer. The person I spoke to wishes to remain unknown. He is retired since 1992 and owns a business in Olympia, Washington, and doesn't want it to hurt that business. It's odd that men feel that way. I've found talking of Bigfoot intrigues most people, but some laugh. It's true. Some others I have talked with who are still active Army Rangers have confirmed this report. They also don't want their names released because of what might happen to them. Just mention Fort Lewis, and it generally brings up a Bigfoot bull session. One fellow from California, a ranger, did see a large Sasquatch by Cat Lake. He said the size of the thing scared a lot of them. That encounter was at night. The creature came right up to their camp area within 50 yards. They spotted it in a night scope, new Gen Model 3s. After that, his squad picked up and moved by request of the CO on duty at that time. The creature was described as 8 foot tall, black hair on body from head to feet and arms. It made a grunting sound almost like a pig, but deeper and longer. The CO was at Fort Lewis from 1982 to 2001. He was sent to a base overseas after 9/11 took place and we lost touch. In other correspondence from Fred Bradshaw, there were many rumors of Sasquatch sightings in the area of Fort Lewis, but generally it's kept quiet because the U.S. Army doesn't want people running all over the base while maneuvers are underway. I respect that, but I'm not sure that is the real reason. Nobody on base talks about it on the record. I live close to the base itself in the city of Roy, and I have worked the areas of that forest that are close to the perimeter of the base itself. It's a huge, almost indescribable forested area. I often met base personnel, and I've been asked to join them on outings on base after the training is over. I once received permission from the CO to go on base to look for tracks along with an Army Ranger sergeant. The sergeant saw one of the Bigfoots on base too. Right now, it's closed to the public. It doesn't matter to me what opinions people had of Bradshaw. I had long hours of conversation with him. Nobody knew the woods around Fort Lewis Army Base like he did. Most of Fred's critics never saw a Sasquatch, much less ever set foot on the base itself. Bradshaw was seriously one of the good guys in retired law enforcement. I thoroughly enjoyed his contributions to the subject. I think Bradshaw was a man before his time. That is, what he knew fell on the ears of researchers who were ensconced in the deep ape theorem. These people were unable to accept all Bradshaw knew. Shame. Today, the ape theorists are trying to figure out a way to scrape the egg off their collective faces. DNA, presumptive for Sasquatch, has done much to eliminate apes. As Dr. Melba Ketchum stated, her loudest detractors have been ape theorists. George Karras at one time was well known in the Sasquatch community. George hosted Sasquatch Northwest, one of the first Bigfoot-related message boards. He did a fine job. Karras recorded Bradshaw saying about the Sasquatch, "They have been known to roll in the blood of the animals they've killed and to spread their own feces on themselves to keep the unknown away." I'm not sure where he would have heard that, but I was reminded of the remark when in 2010, J.C. Johnson brought to light a story about a Sasquatch that trapped a skunk in an irrigation pipe in San Juan County, New Mexico. The skunk's remains were found later. The tiny scent gland was missing. The inference was that the Sasquatch used the skunk scent as a deterrent to ward off predators and probably us. If the supposition is true, it is indeed an interesting concept, and it's effective. That Bradshaw said a Sasquatch rolled in disgusting substances doesn't seem all that big a stretch. I often quote Bradshaw. He was colorful, knowledgeable, and one of the most generous men in research. A retired sheriff's department officer, Fred, told me his father was a security guard at Green Mountain, Washington. He confirmed with Fred the story that military helicopters brought large numbers of animals in cargo nets under helicopters out of the Mount St. Helens eruption aftermath to include dead Sasquatch bodies. I know a bit about those proceedings from my own experience at Mount St. Helens by way of the military pilot who flew me over the devastation in the fall of 1985. It's recorded in this book in the Mount St. Helens chapter. Fred's untimely passing in October of 2004 shocked us all. His sister, Carol Howell of Elma, Washington, notified us of her brother's passing in October of 2004. Born in 1947, Fred was only 57 when a massive heart attack took him during a deer hunt. Fort Lewis Army Base, Pierce County, Washington, 2004. The Oregon Bigfoot website posted another incident recorded on the Fort Lewis Army installation property dated November 2004. In essence, the unnamed informant was on duty guarding the AHA, ammo holding area, on the base and at the same time having a conversation with his sergeant. He reported that they heard crashing sounds coming from heavy timber and was at the time concerned that a Special Forces Ranger unit might be trying to shake them up. They ignored it momentarily, then they heard a high-pitched vocalization. The unnamed sergeant reportedly said, "What the hell was that?" The informant told him it sounded like Bigfoot. The sergeant got back into his Humvee and the informant returned to the guard shack. That was all the information on the website report. To be continued, and thank you for listening. There will be many parts to the reading of this book. If you like this reading, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification button to be sure to catch the future parts. We welcome comments, but please be considerate of others. If you have had an experience with or about Bigfoot, cryptids, UFOs, paranormal, or any other strange happenings and would like to share them on our channel to be read, please email them to sharingofstrangestories@gmail.com. Our goal is to establish a channel that can provide an outlet for people to speak freely of their experiences without ridicule from others. There are many of us out there that have had these experiences and have felt that ridicule, but ridicule will not be welcome here. Emails will be read on our channel, so please keep them family friendly. If you want to remain anonymous and do not want your name read to the public, please put that at the beginning of the email or in the subject line. Thanks again for listening and stay safe.